It was a quiet morning in the small coastal town of Tromsø, Norway. The sun had just begun to rise over the horizon, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. People were going about their usual routines, children walking to school, shopkeepers opening their stores, and fishermen heading out to sea. Everything seemed normal, peaceful even. But that peace didn't last long. Around mid-morning, something strange happened. At first, it felt like a ripple in the air, as though the atmosphere itself was shifting. Then came the shimmering, a faint glow high up in the sky, almost like heat waves rising from hot pavement. Many people stopped what they were doing to look up. Some pointed at the sky, wondering if it was some kind of weather phenomenon, or maybe an unusual cloud formation. But the shimmering grew stronger, spreading across the heavens until it became impossible to ignore. And then, without warning, the clouds parted, not because of wind or rain, but as if someone had pulled them aside deliberately. What lay beyond left everyone speechless. Hovering silently above Earth's atmosphere were massive objects, too large to comprehend. They weren't airplanes, satellites, or anything humans had ever seen before. These things were colossal ships made of dark metal, bristling with weapons and glowing with eerie lights. Each ship stretched for miles, dwarfing entire cities. There were dozens of them, arranged in perfect formation, casting ominous shadows over the planet below. Panic erupted instantly. In Tromsø, people screamed and ran for cover, unsure whether the ships would attack or simply stay there watching. Phones buzzed everywhere as news of the mysterious vessels spread like wildfire. Social media exploded with videos and photos, showing the same sight no matter where you looked, from bustling cities like New York and Tokyo to remote villages in Africa and South America. Everyone saw it. Everyone knew something extraordinary and terrifying was happening. Governments around the world scrambled to respond. Emergency meetings were called, military forces placed on high alert, and scientists rushed to analyze the situation. Was this some kind of natural event? A secret project gone wrong? Or was it aliens? No one had answers, but the fear gripping humanity was palpable. Parents hugged their children tighter. Friends called each other to check if they were okay. Even strangers exchanged worried glances, united by the shared sense of dread. Then, just when it seemed things couldn't get worse, a voice boomed through. Every device connected to the internet, radio, television, and phone networks. It wasn't human. It was deep, guttural, and cold, sending shivers down spines wherever it was heard. "Attention, inhabitants of Earth," the voice said. "We are the Krylos. Your planet is now under our control. Surrender your resources, or face annihilation." The message repeated in multiple languages, ensuring no one missed its meaning. The Krylos weren't here to make friends. They weren't explorers seeking knowledge or diplomats negotiating alliances. They were conquerors, pirates who traveled the galaxy plundering weaker civilizations for their own gain. And now, they had set their sights on Earth. For hours, the world held its breath. Would the Krylos attack immediately? Would they demand immediate compliance? Or were they waiting for humanity to react? While leaders debated behind closed doors, ordinary people tried to process what was happening. Some prayed, hoping divine intervention would save them. Others prepared for the worst, stocking up on food and supplies. A few even took drastic measures, believing resistance was futile. But not everyone gave up hope. In Mexico City, a young engineer named Elena Torres sat glued to her laptop, analyzing footage of the alien ships. She had always been fascinated by science fiction, dreaming of building machines that could explore space. Now, faced with the reality of extraterrestrial life, she refused to let fear paralyze her. Instead, she started sketching designs for weapons powerful enough to fight back. Her garage-turned-lab quickly filled with blueprints, tools, and half-finished prototypes. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., General Marcus Hale convened an emergency meeting of the United Nations Defense Coalition, UNDC. As head of the organization, he bore the weight of responsibility for humanity's survival. He knew panic wouldn't solve anything. They needed a plan. Gathering representatives from every nation, Hale emphasized the importance of unity. This isn't just America's problem or Europe's problem, he said firmly. It's Earth's problem. If we don't stand together, we'll fall apart. His words resonated deeply. For the first time in history, countries put aside their differences. Armies shared intelligence. Factories ramped up production of military equipment. And civilians volunteered to help in any way they could. Posters bearing slogans like "Earth won't fall" appeared on walls worldwide, symbolizing humanity's resolve to resist. Back in Tromsø, the initial terror began to transform into anger. Why should they surrender without a fight? This was their home, their planet. Who were these invaders to think they could take it so easily? Similar sentiments echoed across continents. From farmers in India to office workers in Canada, people decided they wouldn't go down without a struggle. As night fell, the Kryllo ships remained motionless in the sky, their presence looming like a storm cloud. Lights flickered within the vessels, hinting at activity inside. Were they planning their next move, preparing to strike, or simply observing how humanity reacted? No one knew for sure, but one thing was certain. Earth wasn't ready to give up yet. Somewhere deep inside, buried beneath the fear and uncertainty, a spark of defiance ignited. Humanity might be outmatched, outnumbered, and outgunned, but they weren't defeated. Not yet. And so, as the world braced for whatever came next, hope lingered in the hearts of millions. Hope that somewhere, somehow, a solution would emerge. Hope that humanity's ingenuity, resilience, and determination would prove stronger than any alien threat. After all, Earth had survived countless challenges throughout its history. Maybe, just maybe, it could survive this one too. The days following the Kryllos announcement were some of the darkest in human history. Fear and despair hung heavy in the air, but beneath the surface, something else was brewing. Anger. The idea that Earth, humanity's only home, could be taken away by an alien race felt like a violation too deep to endure. People weren't just scared anymore. They were furious. And anger, as history has shown time and again, can be a powerful motivator. In Tromsø, Norway, the small coastal town where the sky had first parted to reveal the massive alien fleet, life had changed dramatically. What was once a quiet fishing village now resembled a military base. Soldiers patrolled the streets, anti-aircraft guns pointed skyward, and bunkers were hastily constructed on the outskirts of town. Similar scenes played out across the globe as nations mobilized their resources for what many believed would be humanity's last stand. Yet amidst the chaos, ordinary people began stepping forward to do extraordinary things. Elena Torres, the young engineer from Mexico City, became one such symbol of resistance. Her garage-turned-lab buzzed with activity, day and night. She barely slept, fueled by coffee and sheer determination. Using scraps salvaged from old electronics, pieces of alien tech recovered from downed scout ships, and her own ingenuity, Elena worked tirelessly on a project she hoped would level the playing field. It wasn't easy. Her experiments often ended in failure, with sparks flying and circuits frying, but she refused to give up. Her breakthrough came late one evening when she accidentally discovered a way to disrupt the Kryllos' energy shields. These shields were the cornerstone of the invaders' defense systems, making their ships nearly invincible against conventional weapons. But Elena's prototype weapon, a device she dubbed the Shield Disruptor, could create pulses of electromagnetic energy strong enough to temporarily disable them. It wasn't perfect, and it certainly wasn't ready for mass production, but it was a start. A glimmer of hope in an otherwise bleak situation. Word of Elena's invention reached General Marcus Hale, who immediately recognized its potential. He dispatched a team to bring her to UNDC headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. When Elena arrived, she found herself surrounded by some of the brightest minds on the planet. Scientists, engineers, and strategists all working together to defend Earth. For the first time, she realized she wasn't alone in this fight. There were others like her, determined to push back against the seemingly unstoppable Kryllos. General Hale wasted no time putting Elena's design into action. With access to state-of-the-art facilities and unlimited funding, her shield disruptor, went from a crude prototype to a fully functional weapon within weeks. Factories around the world began producing thousands of units, equipping soldiers, pilots, and even civilian militias. The technology gave humanity its first real advantage. In the war, an edge they desperately needed, but weapons alone wouldn't win the battle. Intelligence was equally critical, and reconnaissance missions soon revealed key insights about the Krylos. Despite their advanced technology, the aliens relied heavily on centralized command hubs located aboard their mothership. These hubs controlled everything, from navigation and communication to shield deployment and weapon targeting. If those hubs could be destroyed, the entire Krylos fleet might collapse like a house of cards. This revelation sparked a daring plan. The UNDC decided to launch a surprise attack aimed at infiltrating the mothership and disabling its core systems. However, getting close enough to strike wouldn't be easy. The Krylos's defenses were formidable, and their ships were protected by layers of energy shields. Success hinged entirely on stealth, precision, and timing. To lead the mission, General Hale turned to Captain Ryan Carter, a decorated pilot known for his fearless attitude and razor-sharp instincts. Carter had spent years flying experimental aircraft, pushing boundaries most pilots wouldn't dare approach. Now he was tasked with leading a squadron of elite fighter jets, each equipped with Elena's shield disruptors, into enemy territory. It was a suicide mission by any measure, but Carter didn't hesitate. "If we don't try," he said during a briefing, "we've already lost." As preparations intensified, the rest of humanity rallied behind the effort. Civilians volunteered, en masse to support the war effort, whether by working in factories, caring for wounded soldiers, or providing logistical support. Even children contributed, organizing fundraisers and writing letters of encouragement to troops stationed near alien hotspots. Posters bearing slogans like "Earth won't fall" adorned every street corner, reminding everyone of the stakes and the strength of their collective will. Meanwhile, tensions escalated between Earth's defenders and the Krylos. The aliens, frustrated by humanity's refusal to surrender, launched sporadic attacks on major cities. Their goal was to break morale, forcing humans to capitulate. Instead, these assaults only strengthened resolve. Each bombed-out building became a rallying cry, each casualty a reminder of why they couldn't afford to lose. News reports highlighted stories of heroism: a firefighter pulling survivors from rubble, a teacher shielding students during an air raid, a farmer continuing to plant crops despite the danger overhead. One particularly brutal attack targeted New York City. The Statue of Liberty, long a symbol of freedom and resilience, was reduced to rubble. Images of the iconic monument crumbling under alien fire spread worldwide, sparking outrage and grief. But rather than succumbing to despair, Americans channeled their emotions into action. Volunteers poured into recruitment centers, eager to join the fight. Donations flooded in to support relief efforts, and makeshift memorials sprang up across the country, honoring those who had died. Back in Geneva, Elena watched these developments with mixed feelings. On one hand, she was inspired by humanity's courage and unity. On the other, she couldn't shake the weight of responsibility resting on her shoulders. If her invention failed, countless lives would be lost, including those of the brave pilots. Preparing to face the Krylos head-on. To cope, she threw herself even deeper into her work, refining the shield disruptor and developing new tools to aid the resistance. Captain Carter, too, felt the pressure. As leader of the upcoming mission, he knew failure wasn't an option. During training exercises, he pushed his team harder than ever before, drilling them on every possible scenario they might encounter. Pilots practiced evasive maneuvers, simulated dogfights and emergency landings until their muscles ached, and their reflexes were razor-sharp. Engineers tweaked engines, calibrated weapons, and reinforced armor plating, ensuring the fighters were ready for anything. Finally, the day of the operation arrived. Under cover of darkness, the squadron gathered at a secret airbase hidden deep within the Swiss Alps. The atmosphere was tense but focused. Mechanics performed final checks on the sleek hybrid aircraft designed specifically for this mission. Soldiers loaded ammunition and secured gear while medics stood by, prepared for the worst. Elena moved among the crew, offering last-minute adjustments to the shield disruptors and answering questions about how to use them effectively. As dawn broke, Carter addressed his team one final time. Standing before rows of determined faces, he spoke plainly. "We're not just fighting for ourselves today," he said. "We're fighting for everyone back home, the families, the friends, the strangers who are counting on us. The Krylos think we're weak, that we'll roll over and die without a fight. Let's show them they're wrong." With that, the engines roared to life, and the fighters took off into the pale morning sky. Their destination, the heart of the Krylos mothership. Behind them, Earth waited anxiously, praying for victory. Ahead of them lay uncertainty, danger, and the slim chance of survival. But for the first time since the aliens' arrival, humanity had a plan, and a fighting spirit that refused to quit. As the squadron disappeared into the clouds, hope flickered anew. Maybe, just maybe, this ragtag group of humans could pull off the impossible. After all, Earth had faced challenges before. This was different, yes, but not insurmountable. Not if they stood together. And so, with bated breath, the world watched and waited, knowing that the fate of humanity rested in the hands of a few brave souls willing to risk everything. The squadron of hybrid fighters soared through the atmosphere, their sleek silhouettes cutting through the thinning clouds as they climbed higher and higher. The pilots clad in advanced pressure suits designed to withstand both G-forces and potential decompression, focused intently on their instruments. Each cockpit buzzed with the hum of engines and the occasional crackle of radio communication. Captain Ryan Carter led the formation, his voice calm but firm as he guided the team toward their objective, the Krylos mothership. As they approached orbit, the alien fleet came into view. It was a sight that would have made anyone pause, even the most seasoned astronaut or fighter pilot. Dozens of massive ships floated silently against the blackness of space, their metallic surfaces reflecting the distant light of the sun. The mothership loomed largest among them, its jagged edges and glowing red markings giving it an almost monstrous appearance. Energy shields shimmered faintly around each vessel, creating an impenetrable barrier between humanity and victory. "All right, listen up," Carter said over the comms, his tone steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. "We stick to the plan. Stay close, stay quiet, and wait for my signal before engaging. Remember, if we don't disable those command hubs, this whole mission is pointless." The team acknowledged his orders with terse replies. Everyone knew what was at stake. Failure meant not just their deaths, but potentially the end of all human resistance. Success, however slim the odds, offered Earth its first real chance at turning the tide. Stealth and sacrifice. The key to infiltrating the Krylos defenses lay in Elena Torres's shield disruptors. These devices, mounted on the wings of each fighter, emitted pulses of electromagnetic energy capable of temporarily disabling the aliens' energy barriers. However, they only worked within a limited range and required precise timing. One misstep, one premature pulse, and the entire fleet would be alerted to their presence. Carter's squadron split into two groups. The first group, led by Carter himself, would draw the attention of nearby patrol ships, while the second group, commanded by Lieutenant Sarah Kim, slipped past the outer defenses undetected. Once inside, Kim's team would deploy the disruptors to create a narrow corridor for the main assault force to pass through. The plan worked, at least initially. Carter's group engaged a pair of Krylos scout ships, exchanging fire in a dazzling display of laser blasts and explosions. The enemy responded predictably, focusing their efforts on eliminating the perceived threat. Meanwhile, Kim's team navigated carefully through the chaos, using the cover of debris and shadow to avoid detection. When they reached the designated coordinates, Kim gave the order. Deploying disruptors now. A series of bright flashes lit up the darkness as the devices discharged their energy. For a brief moment, the shimmering shields surrounding the mothership flickered and vanished. It was enough. Carter's team broke off their skirmish and raced toward the opening, dodging incoming fire from confused Krylos gunners. But the reprieve didn't last long. As soon as the humans breached the shield perimeter, Alarm klaxons blared throughout the alien fleet. Reinforcements poured in from every direction, swarming like insects defending their hive. Laser beams crisscrossed the void, forcing the pilots to perform evasive maneuvers that tested the limits of their training and their machines. One by one, the human fighters fell victim to the relentless assault. Explosions erupted in bursts of flame and shrapnel, leaving behind trails of wreckage that drifted aimlessly in the vacuum of space. Yet even as comrades were lost, the survivors pressed onward, driven by sheer determination. They had come too far to turn back now. Inside the mothership, against all odds, Carter and his remaining team managed to penetrate the mothership's hull. Their fighters docked in a hangar bay filled with strange insect-like drones scurrying about. The air inside smelled acrid, tinged with ozone and something unidentifiable. As the pilots disembarked, they activated their helmets' built-in translators, hoping to decipher any alien communications they might encounter. "This place gives me the creeps," muttered Lieutenant Kim as she scanned the cavernous chamber. Her weapon, a modified plasma rifle equipped with Elena's technology, was raised and ready. "Stay sharp," Carter replied. "We're here to take out the command hubs, not sightsee." Navigating the labyrinthine corridors proved challenging. The walls pulsed faintly with bioluminescent veins, casting eerie shadows that played tricks on the mind. Strange symbols glowed along the floors and ceilings, presumably serving as directions for the Krylos crew. Without a map, the humans relied on intuition and teamwork to find their way deeper into the ship. At one point, they encountered a squad of Krylos soldiers. The aliens were tall, armored, and armed with weapons far more advanced than anything humanity possessed. But what truly set them apart was their eyes, cold, black orbs devoid of emotion, reflecting centuries of conquest and domination. The two sides exchanged fire in a brutal firefight that left several Krylos dead and forced the humans to retreat further into the ship. Despite the losses, the team refused to give up. Every step brought them closer to their goal, and every setback only fueled their resolve. Finally, after what felt like hours of navigating the hostile environment, they reached the central hub, a massive chamber dominated by a towering console pulsating with energy. "That's it," Carter said, pointing at the structure. "That's the heart of their operation." Elena's voice crackled over the comms link. "You'll need to plant explosives directly on the core. Aim for the conduits feeding power to the system. That should overload it and disable the entire network." Nodding grimly, Carter turned to his team. "Kim, Jones, provide cover. Martinez, you're with me. Let's finish this." The final push. Planting the explosives was no easy task. The central hub was heavily guarded, with waves of Krylos reinforcements pouring in from multiple entrances. Plasma bolts ricocheted off walls and equipment, filling the air with sparks and smoke. Carter and Martinez worked quickly, attaching charges to the designated points while Kim and Jones laid down suppressing fire. "We've got company," Kim shouted, her voice tight with urgency. A fresh wave of Krylos soldiers surged into the chamber, their weapons blazing. "Keep them busy," Carter barked, his hands trembling slightly as he secured the last charge. "Martinez, fall back." Just as the final explosive was in place, disaster struck. One of the Krylos warriors flanked the team, firing a devastating blast that knocked Martinez off his feet. Blood pooled beneath his helmet visor as he slumped lifelessly to the ground. "No!" Carter screamed, rage boiling inside him. He wanted nothing more than to avenge his fallen comrade, but there was no time. Activating the detonator, he yelled, "Fall back, now!" The team retreated as fast as they could, sprinting through the twisting corridors while the countdown timer ticked away. Behind them, the explosion rippled through the mothership, sending shockwaves that shook the very foundations of the vessel. Alarms screamed louder than ever, and emergency lights flashed wildly as systems began to fail. Reaching their fighters, the survivors launched back into space, just as the mothership's shields collapsed entirely. Debris tumbled outward, colliding with other ships in the fleet and causing chain reactions that crippled much of the Krylos armada. Back on Earth, millions watched in awe as live footage captured the spectacle. Cheers erupted across the globe as humanity celebrated its first major victory against the invaders. Aftermath. Though battered and bruised, Carter's squadron returned to Earth as heroes. News outlets hailed them as saviors, and their names became synonymous with bravery and sacrifice. Elena Torres, watching from UNDC headquarters, allowed herself a rare smile. Her invention had worked. It had given humanity a fighting chance. But the war was far from over. Many Krylos ships remained operational, regrouping under secondary commanders who vowed revenge. Still, for the first time since the invasion began, hope burned brighter than fear. Humanity had proven it could stand toe-to-toe with an interstellar power, and win. General Marcus Hale addressed the world later that evening, standing before cameras with a look of grim determination. "Today, we showed the universe that Earth will not bow to tyranny," he declared. "But our fight is not finished. The Krylos are wounded, not defeated. We must remain vigilant, united, and ready to defend our home." As the broadcast ended, people everywhere felt a renewed sense of purpose. Earth had struck its first blow, and though the road ahead promised hardship and loss, humanity stood stronger than ever. Together they had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. The victory against the Krylos mothership was a turning point, but it wasn't the end of the war. Humanity had struck a devastating blow, crippling the alien fleet and shattering their centralized command structure. Yet, the Krylos were far from defeated. Their remaining ships regrouped under secondary commanders, determined to avenge their losses and reclaim dominance over Earth. For humanity, the battle ahead would test not only their courage, but also their ability to adapt, innovate, and persevere. Rebuilding and reinventing. In the days following the successful strike on the mothership, Earth became a hive of activity. Factories worked around the clock, producing new weapons, shields, and hybrid fighters based on reverse-engineered alien technology. Scientists and engineers collaborated tirelessly, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Elena Torres, now a key figure in the resistance effort, played a pivotal role in this technological revolution. Her shield disruptors had proven invaluable during the first mission, and she was determined to refine them further. Elena's latest breakthrough came when researchers discovered how to harness zero-point energy, a virtually limitless power, source used by the Krylos to fuel their ships and weapons. This discovery transformed Earth's defenses overnight. Hybrid warships equipped with zero-point reactors could now operate indefinitely, traveling vast distances without refueling. Plasma cannons powered by the same technology delivered unprecedented firepower, capable of piercing even the toughest alien armor. Meanwhile, General Marcus Hale spearheaded efforts to reorganize Earth's military forces. The United Nations Defense Coalition (UNDC) expanded its reach, integrating soldiers, pilots, and strategists from every corner of the globe. Training programs intensified, preparing recruits for the unique challenges of space combat. Civilians contributed too, volunteering as medics, engineers, and support staff. Posters bearing slogans like "Earth won't fall" continued to inspire unity and resilience. But perhaps the most significant change was humanity's mindset. No longer content to simply defend their planet, leaders began contemplating offensive strategies. If Earth could take the fight to the Krylos, they might stand a chance at driving the invaders away permanently. It was a bold idea, risky, even reckless, but one that gained traction as more people realized survival depended on action, not just reaction. A new strategy. General Hale convened a high-level meeting at UNDC headquarters to discuss the next phase of the war. Sitting around a large table were top military officials, scientists, and advisors, including Elena Torres and Captain Ryan Carter. The atmosphere was tense but focused. Everyone knew the stakes. Humanity couldn't afford another failure. "We've weakened the Krylos," Hale began, addressing the group. "Their mothership is gone and their chain of command is fractured. But they're still out there, regrouping and plotting their next move. We need to act before they recover. Carter leaned forward, his face grim. We proved we can hit them where it hurts. Let's do it again, harder this time. Elena nodded in agreement. With the upgrades we've made to our ships and weapons, we're better equipped than ever, but we'll need precision and coordination. Hitting random targets won't cut it. After hours of debate, the team finalized a daring plan. Operation Starfall. The goal was simple, yet ambitious: to hunt down and eliminate rogue Krylos units scattered across the solar system. Using intelligence gathered from reconnaissance missions, the UNDC identified key locations where the aliens had established temporary bases. These included asteroid belts, moons of Jupiter and Saturn, and even abandoned space stations left behind by earlier human exploration efforts. To execute the operation, a new fleet of hybrid warships was assembled. Each vessel combined Earth's engineering prowess with salvaged Krylos tech, making them faster, stronger, and more versatile than anything humanity had built before. Pilots underwent rigorous training to master the advanced controls, while ground crews ensured every ship was ready for prolonged engagements. Captain Carter volunteered to lead the mission, despite objections from some who argued he'd already risked enough. "I'm not sitting this one out," he said firmly. "If we're going to finish what we started, I want to be there." Reluctantly, Hale agreed, assigning Carter command of the flagship Phoenix. Elena insisted on joining, the crew arguing her expertise would be crucial during encounters with alien tech. Though initially hesitant, Hale eventually relented, knowing her contributions could mean the difference between success and failure. Operation Starfall. The operation launched under the cover of darkness, with the fleet departing Earth, en route to its first target, Ganymede, one of Jupiter's moons. Intelligence suggested the Krylos had set up a supply depot there, funneling resources to other parts of their fleet. Destroying it would disrupt their logistics and weaken their overall capabilities. As the Phoenix and its escorts approached Ganymede, the tension aboard the ships was palpable. Pilots double-checked their instruments, engineers monitored systems, and gunners prepared for battle. Elena sat in the command center, surrounded by screens displaying real-time data from the fleet's sensors. She chewed nervously on her thumbnail, replaying scenarios in her mind and praying everything would go according to plan. When the fleet entered Ganymede's orbit, the Krylos presence became evident. Several ships patrolled the area, guarding a massive facility embedded in the moon's icy surface. Carter gave the order to engage, and within moments, chaos erupted. Laser fire illuminated the darkness as the two sides clashed in a ferocious dogfight. The humans held the advantage thanks to their upgraded technology. Zero-point powered engines allowed their ships to outmaneuver the slower Krylos vessels, while enhanced weaponry tore through alien shields with ease. Elena coordinated attacks from the command center, directing pilots to exploit weaknesses in the enemy's formation. "Focus on the supply depot," Carter shouted over the comms. "Take it out and the rest will follow." Following his orders, a squadron of bombers broke away from the main engagement, targeting the facility with precision strikes. Explosions rocked the surface of Ganymede as munitions detonated inside the depot, igniting fires that spread rapidly across the ice. Within minutes, the entire structure collapsed, taking dozens of Krylos soldiers and supplies with it. The victory was short-lived, however. As the humans regrouped, reinforcements arrived, a second wave of Krylos ships emerging from hyperspace. Outnumbered and low on ammunition, the fleet faced a critical decision: retreat or fight to the death. Carter chose the latter. "We didn't come this far to run away," he growled. "Elena, give me everything you've got." Elena activated the fleet's experimental EMP, electromagnetic pulse weapon, a last-ditch effort to disable the incoming ships. A massive burst of energy radiated outward, engulfing the battlefield. Alien vessels faltered as their systems shut down, leaving them vulnerable to attack. Seizing the opportunity, the humans launched a final assault, destroying the remaining Krylos forces. Victories and losses. Over the next several weeks, the UNDC fleet conducted similar operations across the solar system. They targeted Krylos outposts on Europa, Titan, and even near Pluto, methodically dismantling the invaders' infrastructure. Each victory bolstered morale back on Earth, proving that humanity wasn't just fighting to survive, it was fighting to reclaim its place among the stars. However, these battles came at a cost. Many brave pilots lost their lives, and countless ships were damaged beyond repair. Among the fallen was Lieutenant Sarah Kim, whose sacrifice during a critical mission saved the lives of her entire squadron. Her name joined those of other heroes, etched into memorials erected worldwide. Despite the losses, hope remained strong. With each defeat inflicted upon the Krylos, humanity grew bolder and more confident. The once unstoppable invaders now seemed vulnerable, their arrogance replaced by desperation. Rumors spread of infighting among the Krylos ranks, with subordinates questioning the leadership of Commander Vrax. Back on Earth, life slowly began to return to normal, or at least as close to normal as possible under the circumstances. Cities rebuilt themselves, economies stabilized, and families reunited after months of separation. Posters bearing the slogan, "Earth won't fall," gave way to new ones reading, "Earth will rise." The message was clear. Humanity wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. Preparation for the final battle. As Operation Starfall neared completion, intelligence revealed the location of the Krylos' final stronghold, a heavily fortified base hidden within a wormhole near Saturn. It was believed to house the remnants of their leadership, including Commander Vrax himself. Taking it out would deal a decisive blow, potentially ending the war once and for all. General Hale called a meeting to discuss the assault. "This is it," he said, his voice steady but filled with resolve. "One last push, one final stand. If we succeed, Earth will be free. If we fail..." He let the sentence trail off, knowing no explanation was needed. Elena, Carter, and the rest of the team exchanged determined glances. They had come too far to turn back now. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. As the fleet prepared for its journey to Saturn, humanity held its breath. The fate of Earth rested in the hands of a few brave souls willing to risk everything. But they weren't alone. Behind them stood billion. The final battle was upon humanity. The Krylos' last stronghold, hidden within a swirling wormhole near Saturn, loomed like a storm cloud on the horizon of Earth's hopes. For weeks, the UNDC fleet had prepared for this moment, refining strategies, upgrading weapons, and ensuring every soldier was ready to give their all. Captain Ryan Carter stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, staring at the tactical display showing the wormhole's chaotic energy field. Beside him, Elena Torres worked tirelessly at her console, fine-tuning the EMP weapon that might decide the outcome of the war. "This is it," Carter said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. "No turning back?" Elena glanced up from her screen, her expression resolute. "We've come too far to lose now." General Marcus Hale's voice crackled over the comms link, addressing the entire fleet. "Men and women of Earth, today we finish what we started. Today we reclaim our freedom. Stay sharp, stay focused, and remember, you're not just fighting for yourselves, you're fighting for everyone back home." With those words echoing in their ears, the fleet entered the wormhole. The final assault. Navigating the wormhole was treacherous. Swirling vortexes of energy threatened to tear the ships apart, while gravitational anomalies made steering nearly impossible. Pilots gripped their controls tightly, sweat dripping down their faces as they fought to keep their vessel steady. Engineers monitored systems frantically, rerouting power and stabilizing reactors whenever fluctuations threatened to overload them. Finally, the fleet emerged on the other side, and into chaos. The Krylos base was a sprawling fortress built into an asteroid floating amidst Saturn's rings. Massive cannons bristled along its surface, firing relentless barrages of plasma bolts at anything that approached. Dozens of alien ships patrolled the area, forming a thick defensive perimeter around the base. "Here we go," Carter muttered under his breath. He gave the order to engage, and the fleet surged forward, diving straight into the heart of the enemy forces. The battle that followed was unlike anything humanity had faced before. Plasma fire lit up the void, turning the darkness into a kaleidoscope of light and destruction. Ships exploded left and right, sending debris spinning through space. Human fighters darted between the larger vessels, targeting weak points and disabling shields with precision strikes. Elena's EMP weapon proved invaluable, temporarily neutralizing entire squadrons of Krylos ships and allowing the humans to press their advantage. Inside the Phoenix, the tension was palpable. Every explosion rocked the ship, every hit shaking the crew to their core. But they held firm, knowing failure wasn't an option. Lieutenant Kim's replacement, a young but skilled pilot named Alex Rodriguez, provided cover fire for Carter as he led a daring assault on the base itself. "We need to get inside," Carter shouted over the din of alarms and explosions. "Find a way to breach their defenses." Elena scanned the battlefield, analyzing data streams and calculating trajectories. "There's a weak point in the eastern quadrant," she announced. "If we concentrate our fire there, we can create an opening." Carter didn't hesitate. "All units focus on Sector E4. Give me everything you've got." The fleet obeyed, unleashing a barrage of firepower that overwhelmed the Krylos defenses. Shields collapsed, and a section of the asteroid's outer shell crumbled, revealing a gaping hole leading directly into the base. Without waiting for confirmation, Carter ordered his team to advance. Into the heart of the beast. The interior of the Krylos base was a labyrinth of corridors and chambers illuminated by pulsating red lights that cast eerie shadows on the walls. Carter led a small strike team, himself, Elena, Rodriguez, and a handful of elite soldiers, deep into the structure, following a map pieced together from intercepted transmissions. Their objective: destroy the central reactor powering the entire facility. Resistance was fierce. Krylos warriors ambushed them at every turn, forcing the humans to fight tooth and nail for every inch of ground gained. Despite their advanced armor and weapons, the aliens were no match for the humans' determination. Each fallen comrade fueled the survivors' resolve, driving them deeper into the base. When they finally reached the reactor chamber, they found themselves face to face with Commander Vrax himself. Towering above them, clad in ornate black armor, the Krylos leader radiated menace. His cold, emotionless eyes locked onto Carter, and he spoke in a voice that sent chills down their spines. "You are persistent humans," Vrax growled. "But persistence will not save you." Carter stepped forward, raising his weapon. "Maybe not, but it'll sure as hell take you down with us." What followed was a brutal firefight. Vrax wielded a massive energy blade, slicing through walls, and cutting down anyone foolish enough to get too close. The humans countered with coordinated attacks, using grenades, plasma rifles, and sheer grit to wear him down. Elena hacked into the reactor's control panel, attempting to initiate a self-destruct sequence while dodging blasts of energy from Vrax's weapon. Finally, after what felt like hours, Carter saw his chance. As Vrax lunged toward Elena, distracted by her efforts to sabotage the reactor, Carter fired a concentrated burst of plasma directly into the alien commander's chest. Vrax staggered, his weapon slipping from his grasp, before collapsing to the floor with a thunderous crash. "It's done," Elena gasped, slamming her fist onto the control panel. "Reactor destabilized. We've got 5 minutes to evacuate." Escape and triumph. The strike team sprinted back through the base, retracing their steps as alarms blared and explosions rocked the facility behind them. Reaching their fighters, they launched just as the reactor went critical, obliterating the asteroid in a massive blast that consumed everything in its path, including the remaining Krylos ships. Back on Earth, millions watched live footage of the explosion, cheering wildly as news of the victory spread. Fireworks lit up skies worldwide, celebrating humanity's improbable triumph. General Hale addressed the planet one final time, his voice filled with pride and relief. "Today we showed the universe that Earth will never bow to tyranny," he declared. "Our courage, ingenuity, and unity have secured our future. Let This day reminds us that no challenge is insurmountable when we stand together. A new dawn. In the aftermath of the war, Earth began to heal. Cities rebuilt themselves stronger than ever, economies flourished, and families reunited under brighter skies. Monuments honoring fallen heroes sprang up across continents, ensuring their sacrifices would never be forgotten. Elena returned to her lab, inspired to continue innovating. Her work laid the foundation for Earth's first interstellar exploration program, paving the way for humanity to venture beyond its solar system. Captain Carter retired from active duty, becoming a mentor to aspiring pilots eager to follow in his footsteps. And General Hale? He stood atop a hill overlooking the rebuilt cities, gazing at the clear blue sky. For the first time in history, humanity looked outward, not with fear but with confidence. Earth had proven itself a force to be reckoned with. And though the universe remained vast and mysterious, one thing was certain: humanity would never again bow to anyone.